We weren't doing it right last time.
You made me try for so long in a dark room.
Hashtag worth it.
And you sprayed me with ranch dressing.
It isn't the best. Is there just, if there's a switch we can turn on, that's great. Otherwise,
I did not see a soundboard. There's a power strip right under my crotch.
Well, stick your hand down there.
Ow. There's a bunch of loose wires down here. There's more. Oh, Jesus Christ, this isn't going to work. What about back there? Is that the soundboard?
Yeah, that's the soundboard. Power strip is on. I'm not sure I want to be messing with the soundboard, though. I know my limits.
Oh, I do soundboards. If it's not just a power on, tell me.
The power, I do see a power light on. I see a bunch of sliders halfway. Whatever you just did,
All right.
just made the meter spike.
Yep, okay, I know what that is. Get in front of a microphone, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
That just means
Because the stuff with input has. Okay.
That just means there's this. Go.
I got Well, actually, these look like microphones. So it's
It's definitely these three. There's three microphones, so I know it's these three inputs.
It did.
Good morning, Wood.
Hello.
We need help.
I was like, how did Alkali disappear?
Because I'm an idiot.
He hid behind something really tall.
Because he's
All
so
right,
petite.
Woody, start tapping on microphones, please.
Man,
I don't even think that one's on.
tapping on. I don't know if it's on.
Yeah, that one's on.
Okay, so that one's getting a signal, but we're not getting anything through the speakers.
No.
Well, what's the output like then? Do the speakers switches on them? The speakers are off. That's the problem.
That would help.
All right, this one's on.
There it is.
There we go.
Cool. We have
Keep
sound.
going. I want to hear this one. That's it. You got it. That is not how you test a microphone.
Do I test it like this? Do I test it like this?
Actually, you snap in front of it. Tapping it, the filament inside, damages it to the, yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it. That being said, my home microphones are like, why aren't you working?
Why won't you do the thing?
Testing. This one's about too low, the gain.
In that case, keep that one with the double mic.
Can we adjust the gain?
I mean, we can try.
Yeah, which one are you on?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know which one of these three it is, though. That's
And it sounds like you fixed it, because I can hear myself clearly.
I didn't do shit.
That you're that good. I guess rubbing it on your bald head worked.
All right, then.
Look at you, you're so good at polishing long cylindrical objects.
Oh, it hasn't started yet. Oh, wait.
Morning, Wood.
Morning.
So how's everything outside of this room?
You know what? Today, unlike yesterday,
Unlike yesterday.
everything was...
I have a question. Why is this at noon? Like, do they not want us telling the really awful stories? Is that it?
You know, I didn't specifically...
There's a bar there.
Did you hit both of the bars?
Yes.
So I didn't...
The only bar you didn't like, Alkali.
Should we open the doors? There is a line
Yes.
out there.
Wait, we have a line?
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course
why.
we do.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
God.
walked by, I was like, what are all these people? Fuck!
I mean, I made and shit posted about it on Twitter.
Oh,
this
hey,
morning.
Wood, it's only up to you because we
So I've been DMing a bunch of people. Anyone even think of plans to be on dinner together?
No, I mean, that's also fine, but I mean, your thing that happened yesterday, you tweeted about it. Did you want to tell that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Dear God.
If you ever know the problems, yes.
Okay.
Or maybe we have a donation level for waiving the 2-year rule.
Oh, God. Once we reach $1 million, we will start telling you people's names.
Actually, we came up with a cool idea at First Squared.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, not First Squared. Furry Migration. Because he couldn't make it, I ended up drafting the rabbits. And Sean Rabbit was on his shit. And basically, someone in the audience said something, he'd be like, you have to listen, it's $5, let's go. And you raise like $50 that way.
Let's not encourage huckling even for currency.
Well, we could raise the bar at this con. I mean, heck with $20.
Oh, my God.
Do I hear $25? Turn heckling into an auction. You know how much money we could raise if we did that?
I'm not saying that should be for a different panel that doesn't have like stories that you guys know. You know what I mean? Like that's not the right place to go.
Is there a right place for these stories? Is there?
I mean, yeah, the bar. You have no idea how many times in my career I've like submitted a panel. It's like, could this be at the bar?
I did.
Yeah. Grab a chair. Take your head off.
Hold on, I want to see something. That didn't work quite as well as I wanted.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
I have to take all this crap off. So people can just see me for like 5 seconds.
So introduce you to the Asian lady who's not married.
It's gonna destroy the convention center.
Perfect. There's like...
The wiring is weird.
You know what? I've been called Ronnie. I've been called Gabe. I've been called Kiva. Like...
Oh, hey, there are 96 impressions in that tweet already.
It's like...
Oh, turn out the lights so no one can see our faces.
Oh.
It'll be like one of those, like, you know, witness statements, one of those crime shows, so it's just the person's shadow.
Distorted voice going on at a certain convention run by a guy in a white lab.
Yeah.
That's what we get Pat Does to do it in his deep Does voice.
There you go.
Alkali. So I was on Leopardy last night, and they had a Name That Furry category, and they had the left column of periodic table and a piece of metal, and I got it.
Well done. Well done.
On the periodic table.
Alkali.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, alkali. They had another one where it was like a screwed up family tree and a cockroach.
I don't really understand what those
I'm wearing the most thematic thing.
I guarantee you, you just started turning off the lights in Con Suite.
Yeah, alkali. You see that? He's wearing a thematic t-shirt. So am I. I got Elevator Con.
Oh my God, awesome.
He's got the naughty list shirt.
I can put you on the naughty list.
kind of like
How's that any
like
different? I
Go
mean,
with like chill.
You could make it blue, but red is not chill.
Can I use
Would you sit down?
I kind of want to push some more buttons.
Okay, I understand. You were a con chair.
I'll chug this before people show up.
do it. This is my third coffee. What?
How's this?
Pink.
Woody, I don't like the mood you're trying to set. Stop it.
It's after dark.
Yeah, now this is just... Welcome to nap time.
Hey, nap time.
Welcome to Con Horror Stories, where you get to see a person who passed out at Con Horror Stories.
Normal.
If that
It
isn't
sounds
warm to
about right,
get
actually.
mouth to mouth with you, it's not going to work. I'm way too sober for that.
I am sure they're freaking out over in Con Suite. We're probably messing with their lights.
Even better if you're messing with the soda machine.
Oh!
Hi, Jesus.
Hey,
I don't think one can mess with it any more than if it's already been.
You're mine now.
I appreciate it.
it's too early to date for that. I have more work to do. I have to show our guest of honor around then.
He sounds. He was gonna. Yeah.
Phones don't work with
He's
first
keeping his chin up.
That sounds like a you problem.
We got a few weeks right now that he's going to spend recovering.
Oh.
He's just going to be over my house smoking until he's better, because that's how health works,
That's
right?
Wait,
yeah,
what?
that's exactly
What?
how.
I'm sorry, is that not how you cure yourself? If you get sick, get high, and then just wait for it to be over.
Well, mine's under drug tests, and I just got a new position there.
Did
so,
you explain to him you might have the common cold?
well, I don't know if the new manager's going to buy that.
You explain to him you'll share the next time you get the common cold?
Alkali, look, I'm on enough thin ice as
So
it is.
kind.
I started a new position on Monday. I worked for 2 days, and I said I'm going to Chicago now.
Yo.
And I didn't say why.
Seems legit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be real careful next week, okay?
I'm not convinced you actually have a job. I think your job is just a favor from the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
This is an AD panel.
This is... If anyone asks, I complimented his, ears.
Yeah.
You complimented my cosmetic choices.
That's right.
If there's anyone under 18, all you heard was fish buckets.
Fish buckets. Oh, fish buckets.
Oh, are we not allowed to swear at this one?
We should not swear at this one. We're going to swear at this one, but we should not swear at this one. It's convention war stories. At some point, we just want to put our heads down at the table and cry.
It's okay, you can't see the tears behind the fursuit head.
Hold on, your fursuit head doesn't have tear catchers? How else are we supposed to stay young?
Wow.
I'm
No,
just
it's
picturing
not-
little vials you can just unscrew.
Wait, is that what you smoke?
No, but it's going to be the next strain of weed that I grow. Wow. Charity tears. OG.
You know, next door they're going to be like, what are they talking about over there? We should go check it out. I get weed.
Gardening, an amazing hobby.
Well, we got it backwards. It's weed, then munchies, not munchies, then weed. That's just weird.
Remember, January 1st. Before that, it's not January 1st. We had...
I don't remember January 1st, nor the 6 hours before that.
No.
That was New Year's.
We are referencing that on January 1st, here in Illinois, as of, I think they announced it is going to be midnight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is actually on New Year's, cannabis becomes legal here in Illinois. And 10 minutes after that, everyone is going to take a nap. Because this is Illinois, and if you're going to tell me that this entire state isn't going to be like 11 o'clock, hey, you want to do it illegally one last time? Oh, it's midnight? Oh, I blinked? Done. That's it. That's how we smoke.
You know what? The one memory I have, the only memory I have of New Year's Eve last year, a friend of mine turned 21 and he decided to keep up with my drinking.
So he died.
Sucked to be him the next 2 days.
I have made that mistake before. And it
Turning
did not-
21?
No, trying to keep up with someone who was a better drinker than I.
Where did you end up when that happened? Was it
Honestly,
under a panel table?
No, that was not that time.
Oh, that was a different time.
It has been 2 years since then.
It
right?
has.
It has. So I actually, I guess, well, yeah, we've got more chairs. And we probably have more people coming, so we've got other people who want to share.
We have
Yeah,
one or
just
two other
yes.
people. Like, if you're an ex-con chairman, you automatically get an invite. Automatically.
Should I blow up
So with
right now?
legalization in Canada, I think this is the first year we have a fully legal cannabis New Year's. And yeah, I think the first few days people are just going to be calling in sick because they underestimate. What could possibly go wrong? Friend was visiting and
Yeah, because I'm
had an
asking a
edible.
bunch of questions.
And had the edible and then asked, these are only 10 milligram, right? We all look at each other and go, buddy, you're in for a ride. they were 30.
How many did he eat?
He had one, but he was not used to, 10 was already his upper limit, so 30
Not anymore!
Welcome to the stratosphere. Oh, fish buckets.
Mistakes were made.
57, so we'll wait till...
Yeah, we'll wait till time. Yeah, right now we're just telling weed stories because this is appropriate.
Well, actually, so
not like we all
if you
have
think
staff
about
badges.
it, the panel hasn't started, so whatever we say is just chatter that people are overhearing. So really...
So there Xander was, having his first time with brownies. We made a big tray of brownies for me and my friends, and he took a brownie, and he enjoyed the brownie. But brownies don't kick in for, on average, 1 to 2 hours. And he likes immediate gratification. So when we sat down in one room to play Artemis, all of a sudden our security officer went, "There's a problem in the kitchen," stood up and ran away. And it took us about 5 minutes to realize, oh God, he's going for the brownies. That was brownie number 2. 10 minutes later, after we had hidden the brownies, he apparently went on a scavenger hunt.
For what?
For the brownies. And at that time, we went into the garage to get a soda because it's cold in the garage, a good place to store. So also a good place for the brownies. And behind a cardboard box, my boyfriend's head just pops up with chocolate all over his face.
Oh, no.
Eyes as wide as saucers. And he goes, 3 the shit. I mean, fish buckets. So don't do that.
You know, an interesting AD panel idea would be
This?
well, this, but with VR.
We are, wait, what? Okay, if you're going to VR on brownies, you play Tetris Effect, it will be Monday before you know it.
But that's the idea.
We are not going to just sit up here and lose time. Damn it!
We're doing it right now!
It's legal in Canada.
Yeah, I know.
Come visit.
I do.
Right here in the front row and staring.
Oh,
You're
shit.
gonna pop your butt in this. You're gonna pop your butt in this chair.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, what did I say a moment ago? Any con chair, past or present, gets an automatic invite. Ladies and gentlemen, the con chair of Basement Con, Boozy!
I didn't do it, it was this finger.
Fish buckets.
Fish buckets.
I have to run real quick. Some duties apply, but
Easy, can you mind?
I'll talk to all of you soon.
Do I?
I don't know, do you?
I'm loud.
Okay.
I will just say this.
We'll share my-
Yes, I am feeling better. Muscle relaxers are a wonderful thing. and the entire accessibility staff knows just how effective they are because I was supposed to be up at 8 o'clock. I woke up and sent them a message. Hi, I'm sorry it's 10:30. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to try to get down there. I might put on pants.
All right, just because of the topics that we've already covered right now, everyone, be responsible when doing anything that is mind-altering. Let's just go with that, please.
When did you start giving that advice?
I've always given that advice. You should ask how long I've been following it.
The 621 rule does not apply to edibles.
Oh my God.
Wait, what, 6
Wait, did you
brownies?
say the 621 rule does not apply to edibles?
Yes.
Unless you're eating 6 than 2 than 1. It's a very applicable rule in that case.
I mean, it's a rule.
It's a...
I was thinking more 6 brownies, 2/5, and 1 very long nap.
Can we stop now?
Oh, look at the time. It is now time for the panel.
No, that means we're PG-13.
Okay.
Are F-bombs PG-13?
No!
No, there's one free F-bomb.
You're allowed to have one F-bomb.
1?
The Martian had one F-bomb. They snuck a second one.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Convention Horror Stories! Today on this panel, it is our goal to give you an idea of what happens behind the scenes at these conventions. It is our idea to entertain. It is our idea to make fun of each other non-stop. Starting from over here, I do apologize. I'm going to just have them introduce themselves because I'm not awake yet. I'm not wearing glasses. Go!
Hi, Tiger Paw from FWA. I'm only wearing sunglasses because my regular glasses are missing, not because I'm hungover, I swear.
I am Woody, former or con-chair emeritus, whatever the name is for when you don't have to put up with that fish buckets anymore. Yes, and I am still vice chair, board president, or not board president, board member, and lots of other fun, exciting things. So hopefully I'm off radio, and we'll see how that goes. Didn't go so well for the last panel. But,
No, it did not.
But cool.
I'm Pandez. I'm current con-chair of Indie FurCon, again. And, and previous vice chair of Motor City, and yeah, doing this for way too damn long.
Oh, he's my turn. Hi! Hi! I'm Boozy. Oh. Hi, Boozy. I made a mistake. I joked about starting the world's worst furry con, and then he rented a hotel. I am the con-chair for what it's worth of Basement Con. I also provide some legal assistance to various furry conventions.
Which, because no, unfortunately, it's been 2 years. We get to tell that story today.
You're at Basement Con on Twitter as well, right?
Okay. Here's my disclaimer. I know everybody thinks I'm the Basement Con Twitter account, and I was. There are about 14 people with access to the Basement Con Twitter account because we have a theme, and it is we are the worst convention ever. And we thought if one social media guy with unrestrained access can screw up a con, what can 14 people do?
That's legendary.
We actually ended it this year with me looking at everyone in the room and saying, guys, you all have access to the Basement Con Twitter now. Please remember something. Everyone still thinks it's me. Please don't post Hitler.
Well, I guess we went there. Hi, I'm Olipin. I'm Canadian, Director of Operations for EFI, and hot swappable backup battery for the con as well. So, yeah, I'm fuzzy and cute today, so you can't see the tears behind the person head.
They keep us young.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Giza. I staff more cons than I can count. I spent 14 years on Anthrocon's board of directors, and then I got parole.
My name is Alkali. I am board member emeritus from First Squared. I've been on board at multiple conventions. We really love what we do, and that's why we are all here. We would not tell you these stories if we did not find them entertaining after the fact. So without further ado, Woody, you already screwed this one up. What happened yesterday?
Doesn't that break our 2-year-old?
It does, but he tweeted about it. I looked over at him at the battle and said, in 2 years, this is going to be a great story. He looked back to me like, check your Twitter.
So before being vice chair this year, I was heading social media for MFF and radically changing how we do social media because we literally burn people out. It is such a, social media is such a difficult place these days. It is painful to watch for social media on a organization of our scale. So it's really nice when some people on social media are cool. They're just they're helpful. They're not blowing things out of proportion. They're not making everything be the worst. They're just stating facts. So yesterday in the middle of charity D&D, I made the mistake of looking at my phone and seeing that I'd had 1 billion notifications from all of the priority channels, and I started opening them up and taking a look, and so basically what it came down to is I turned to Alkali and I said, what it comes down to is everything outside of this room is basically on fire. It's just the worst. It's we're good here. This is a safe spot. My favorite was a tweet that came through to the FurFest account. It said, at FurFest, the Comfort Inn O'Hare has lost power due to a car crash into a power pole. There is a fire. I feel like if every person who tweeted just removed all emotion from their tweets and just clearly stated, there is a fire. I probably shouldn't say that too loud because, that'd be amazing. It'd be a fantastic world because, they're just sharing facts and letting us know what's going on. So it was good because it answered the question as to why power went out at the convention center because, a little bit of a car accident.
I don't know, those tweets would get scary, like last night. Last night, our neighbor knocked on their door for 10 minutes. There is now a fire. But seriously, if any of you do that, you're a dick. It was 3 in the morning.
Just as an aside, there's an Etsy shop making dumpster-shaped candles. I think every con chair needs these candles in their con-offs. And they're scented like garbage as well.
I need that in my bathroom. It would still smell better.
We may or may not have created a specific patch that's labeled dumpster fire for no apparent reason.
No reason whatsoever.
It must be earned.
Ah!
Nice.
Giza, there's something that I have told multiple times, but we've never heard it from your point of view. Do you have a story for us?
Oh, it's a story, all right. So on my lanyard, I have a very small pin that has a stick of butter on it and the word situation underneath of it. And this is for about 2 or 3 MFF con hotels ago, where, that tiny stationery in the hotel room? An attendee left a rant that spanned across about 4 pages of that hotel stationery, left for housekeeping to find on the way out. And what the nature of that complaint was, it was about the placement of butter on the buffet line. Because you see, the placement of butter is very important in relation to the pancakes on the buffet line. And the butter, it can't be at the beginning of the line. That is unacceptable because then you have a lump of butter on your plate. And it can't be at the end of the line because then your pancakes have cooled down. It has to be immediately next to the pancakes. It has to be next to the pancakes so you can put the pancakes on your plate, put the butter between the pancakes, and the butter will melt perfectly. That's where the butter belongs. When is the hotel going to do something about this butter situation? That was the contents of the note. So now we have about 1,000 of these pins. But some of them have blood on them, and I don't know what that's...
You leave me alone! So I'll let you know this, it's a very rare occurrence, but it's helped me on stage more than once. If I do my full yell voice, I have roll a D100. On a 1, I get a bloody nose. And I had nothing to soap it up with, but I had a baggie that was filled with buttons. So those are my favorite butter situations.
Dear God.
So apparently we have a new, currently happening con horror story.
That is definitely not outside of the 2-year limit. This one happened 2 seconds ago, close enough.
So you may have noticed half of the room just filled up.
Yes, I did. What happened?
It's because apparently, so this was previously in a different room, but because of the scale of the room, programming this year has been trying to meet demand from previous years, and we're working on it. This was one of the panels I was like, this would definitely need more space. So, a week ago, they changed this panel from one room to another room. So the printed material says one thing, but the sked and everything else is here. So, welcome everyone.
Well, in that case,
we're making our own horror stories.
In that case, for everyone who just had to miss the beginning of this, come over here, we're sorry. However, programming, thank you so much, because this room is starting to get full, and that is scary. Why do you guys like hearing about our pain? that laughter is all I needed. Yes.
It's cathartic.
I do think we should give a reminder that if you've been to this panel before, you may hear some repeats, because if all of this happened in the span of a single year, we would go criminally insane.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to another question. And I remember you picking up somebody from the airport once. Am I correct? And I believe this story has not been told on Convention Horror Stories.
I don't know if it has or not, but so the very first year of Indie Fur Con, putting the con together, trying to figure it out, and I was just semi-staff, I wasn't really staffed. I'm yeah, I'm helping out as best I can. I was asked to pick up Uncle Kage at the airport. Because we didn't have money for cars for any of the guests or anything. So that's not a problem, I can do it. Well, I'm not from anywhere near Indianapolis, so I'm using my Garmin to get me between the hotel and the airport to pick him up. So he gets in the truck, and we're on our way back, and traffic starts to get really, crazy. So I'm like, okay, I need to turn the volume up on my Garmin so that I can hear and not be focusing on the images while I'm trying to drive. And it was at that point that I remembered I had downloaded an interesting voice for my Garmin. So it wasn't just, normally it's that, cross between a female voice and GLaDOS. Thanks, Karen, I'll take that left up ahead. No, we were sitting there and turn up the volume, and all of a sudden I see Cookie Monster telling us directions. Up ahead, take second right on a roundabout. Roundabout looks like cookie.
Cookie down now.
And I'm driving. And finally I muster up the courage to kind of glance over to the passenger seat, and Kage's just the biggest shiitake mushroom eating grin. So, Garmin or other direction finder voices can be fun. Use the right ones when picking up guests from the airport.
I have to download that now.
Chaotic wants to know whether they make a Swedish chef voice pack.
Birdie, crash.
I downloaded Beaker.
I want that too.
All right. Speaking of cookies, I used to love cookies, and then I found alcohol, and I had to choose between them. So, Oliphant, could you tell us about a drink menu?
This was a couple years ago at FE.
Did you bring up notes?
Yeah.
Do you have? My God, there's pictures.
Of the drink menu?
Here we are. So, who here likes to drink?
Yay!
Who here likes to drink and laugh at the drink names that the hotels come up with?
Yay!
All out. All right, so this was a drink menu that the hotel ended up contracting out, and no one proofread it. it gets worse the further you go down it. I'll start about halfway. The cute little pink Pomeranian. Have fun with this small, petite, cute little pink Pomeranian. 1.5 ounce absolute vodka, yada yada yada. It's a drink recipe at that point. The big bad greyhound. If Pomeranians aren't your thing, maybe you're more of a strong, fierce greyhound. The salted dog. Wrap your lips around this bastard. And then they actually have in all caps, RAR. And then the worst one, and this is what actually got us to pull the menu before it really got out on the bar counters. The frozen funky monkey. Get your freak on. This delicious cocktail slides down your furry throat. We dip the rim with honey and syrup to get your paws sticky. So no touchy, only sippy. Then, you know, either the subcontractor was really on point or just did not know furry.
They knew furry!
They knew them all too well.
Then we firmly pressure-treated coconut against the super sticky rim. Like, how could they not proofread this?
They did!
They just like...
So, they were all destroyed except for like 2 copies, and I have one of them on a little standee in my home. So I have a small piece of history, and oh my god, I wish people actually did this more often, because it would end up for some interesting conversations.
All of them. Is it on your nightstand? Oh no, he's gonna answer. I wasn't expecting an answer.
No, it's on a shelf next to a long cylindrical... It's actually just a piece of scientific equipment. It's my shelf with interesting things.
My panelist brings up a good point. This would be a wonderful time to jump into things the hotel have done that they thought were a good idea. Hold on. Even though you still have your story to go, Boozy, I attended Basement Con. Would you like to describe the bathrooms?
We had snakes in the showers.
What?
We had snakes in the shower!
He was very clear!
I'm sitting outside, somebody comes over and says, we found a friend. I turned around, there was a jar with a snake in it. I said, where was it from? And they all looked at me. Why? Because I'm scared of snakes. They said, we found it by the door after a long pause. I said, where'd you really find it? They said it was in Benny's shower.
At least it's not one of those tropical snakes that like to worm its way into certain...
Whoa! Oh. There's showers. Basement Con is held at an undisclosed location deep in the Pennsylvania woods. There's a lodge. We showed up at the lodge. The guy who ran the lodge said, my grandfather built this in the 60s as a snowmobile lodge. Then he paused, looked at us sadly, and said, that was not a good idea. We were literally in the middle, like he's like, we have internet. We show up like, what's the internet? He's like, oh, we don't have internet. We mean your phone may get internet.
I mean, they did have a wireless network, it just wasn't connected.
Yeah, like you go, like, oh, but you have wireless. It's like, yeah, it doesn't go outside. So we had no phones, no television, no internet access, and about 30 furries, and they were pissed.
I mean, what you put out, Boozy, you had fire.
Yeah, thanks! You're welcome! There's a fire pit? It's like this tall. I walk outside, Giza's like, I'll get a fire going. Oh, thanks, Giza. I go inside, I check on the kitchen, I walk outside, we have a fire pit. There's not a fire this tall!
Yes! Never tell an eagle...
You're bad!
Fire.
The bathrooms at this lodge were set up like, it was very odd. There was like one bathroom in the sleeping area that was big and normal and nice. And then you go into your room and you open the door and there's the other bathroom in your room. Every room had a bathroom. It was so pleasant, except the bathrooms were so small that the shower was this far from the toilet, which was this far from the sink. I had to poop. I opened the bathroom door, put one leg out, threw an arm in the shower, laid back, and almost made it. This man looks at me, walk in, he's like, yeah, I switched rooms. Why? Because I can't fit in the bathroom. One of the other people came up to me, they're like, I was wondering why someone was singing in my closet. I opened the door, my roommate was bathing. We're going back next year.
We will never not go to that lodge.
There were bees, random bees. Don't know where they came from, but they're there now.
They're the guests next year.
We would catch one, release it outside, 2 more would be inside.
You know, the drive back from Basement Con was fun, so I drove past a cemetery that was on fire. Yay!
That still happens.
What, the cemetery catching on fire? Jesus, stop for a picnic!
Eagle Scout?
Yes, I'm an Eagle Scout. I'll build a fire.
So will I. If I be next
Some
time.
say it's still burning today.
Hey, Giza.
Was it a grave rave?
That's the theme in 2 years.
We're con chairs. Your groans are our love.
Groans of attendees and the tears of the charity.
Oh, the tears of the charity.
I'm on a chair. I'm smart enough to never take that role.
Microphone. Microphone and talk. Oh, you had
What are you doing?
I don't want to knock everything over.
It's held in October, I'll see you next year.
Ex-con chairs are also on the panel.
I just said that I was never a con chair because I was smart enough to not take that role, and now I guess I got basement con. No, Peanut is the con chair.
When we were doing the charity run for Extra Life, Peanut, Dixie's son, said, please donate to me. I want to be the chairman. I'm running for chairman of Basement Con. And I sent a message out saying, well, it's not a democracy, but encourage him to keep running. Exercise is important in the youth.
We raised $1,500. Yeah.
The fun part is like a day afterwards, I got a message from your son saying, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, that's what he did. What's Boosie's telegram? I need to tell him something now.
Who else had a hotel occurrence?
I mean, there are many.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the more you switch hotels, the more you get to experience what they think are great ideas.
Yes.
Highlights, Woody. What are some highlights? How about deciding that it would be really great if they put pop-up bars in the dance without telling us? And we're sitting there talking to people saying, you know, there's no alcohol allowed on the convention floor. And they're like, you're selling it.
That's the end.
That was definitely a highlight. Luckily, no horror stories from that other than the obvious.
See, now I appreciate a hotel coming in the first year and not understanding, but First Square had one of my all-time favorites for year 2. We went to a meeting at the hotel. It was just our group, the board of directors, the staff. We went there, and of course, what's one of the biggest problems that every FurCon has? Temperature. We are in Wisconsin in February. We showed up for the pre-meeting on the Wednesday before First Square, and they have every window open in this hotel. Like, we solved your problem, and Dragor looks at me and says, I'm going to die.
Temperature's a good one.
Yeah.
On the, not what the hotel did, but what rumors have happened. When the first year that we moved to the property we're at now, this hotel has a lot of glass at the top, and it basically acts like a giant greenhouse. It's a huge hotel, and you know, in some warmer weather, it gets a little warm in the open area, not in the convention rooms. But I had a lot of people come up to me towards the end of the event as they were getting used to it being warm in the public area on your way to your room. They said, we're really sorry to hear that you didn't pay the hotel bill and that they shut off the air conditioning. Which is not what happened. This is a rumor.
This is
a great example of what would be a horror story. So yes, everyone assumed that because we hadn't paid a mystical hotel bill that they would just heat us out.
Yeah.
Gotta sweat it out, Alkali.
No,
Let's make the furry sweat.
Rumors are dangerous at a con because people just assume they hear something, they infer it, and they start stating it as fact. In fact, sometimes you have to have meetings with the hotel, which leads us to our next story. A fur squared story told by Boozy. Go!
What did you do?
He didn't, he helped.
I love First Square. I don't love getting home and getting the email from their con chair that reads, hey, when can you fly back out to Milwaukee? Because we have to meet with the hotel. We'd like your attorney. We'd like you present as the attorney. It was 2 years ago?
This is the first time we can tell this story.
2 years ago, went to First Square. There were issues with the hotel. Like the hotel manager had booked a high school lacrosse team during the convention. There were a lot of complaints going on. I got home, I got an email from their then con chair, Alkaline, that just says, dude, could you review the security logs? We have a meeting with the hotel and there's some stuff going on. I said, yeah, sure. He sends me the security logs and I began to read through them. I'm trying, it's PG-13.
Yeah, no, it's hard. This one's not easy.
A lot of things were in the security log. The gentleman who was partaking of certain herbal products, who was chased through the hotel by the police and located in the bathroom. That wasn't the issue.
No.
The person who went to the hospital with alcohol poisoning, locking their girlfriend out of their room, and the girlfriend was found crying in the lobby. That wasn't the issue.
No, that's not the problem.
No. The people going into the renovated hotel rooms for parties. That wasn't the issue.
A little bit of an issue, let's be honest. Breaking and entering is always a little bit of an issue.
I tested. The doors were left unlocked and opened.
Yeah, no, you saved my ass.
One of the renovated, they were renovating the hotel, then in the renovated rooms, and they put me across from one of the renovated rooms. And as I walked out, I said, I just want to check something. My wife looked at me like I was insane. I walked over and I pushed on the door and it went open. I said, okay, the contractors have left every room that they're renovating open for easy access. So if somebody goes in, they can't say you broke in.
Thank you.
And then I told him the same thing. The issue revolved around two certain incidents. The first was a report that a gentleman had hosted a very special room party with the door open and him laying on the bed and 10 other people in the room wearing certain objects that you strap upon yourself.
You were good at this PG-13.
Yeah, well done. Fish buckets.
The second issue was a report that stated on Saturday night in the lobby there were people licking lollipops in public as a crowd of furries gathered and yelled, "Eat the meat! Eat the meat! Eat the meat!" Those were the two primary issues, and those were the two that I got back to him and I said, and when is the meeting with the hotel again? They flew me out to meet with the hotel. I show up, it is myself, Alkali, John, Beardo the Magnificent, and your current First Squared con chair, Death Boy Dragula. We get coffee, we leave Chicago, we are headed towards Milwaukee. And we're going over some of the things in the report as I'm prepping them for how these discussions tend to go, because it's not the first time I've had to negotiate with a hotel on behalf of an event as an attorney. And I say the big thing to focus on is how out of the norm and unbelievable everything in their logs is. Just how absurd this is. So like this first one. the gentleman with 10 people in the room wearing strap-a-bons. Strap-a-bons. I said, let's be realistic. Why would they need those? Why would they wouldn't need them in this situation, right? Until Dragor looks up and says, well, wearables are a thing, and I said, okay, maybe you don't talk. We got there, we sat down, the hotel had a binder, this big. Yeah, they had questions about security too, like, well, the security's banded. The security first brings the door sign. So we had a door sign, and I told him, I said, I want you to bring a door sign liaison with everything about the door sign, how they're formed, because when they say security's unprofessional, I want him right there to hand everything to the hotel and go, nope, we've been doing this for 2 decades. We sit down, the hotel has this binder, and when I say binder, I mean like binder. I mean, like if you printed it, it would be volumes, and I would buy that Time Life series. But the hotel sits there, and they flip it open, and they go, okay, so to start with, let's talk about the condition of the restrooms and some of the guest rooms before they even, I'm letting them talk through the intro, they get to that, and they flip the binder over, and the condition of the restrooms, and I said, let me ask a question before we go forward. Do you have any first-hand witnesses on your staff who saw any of this happening, or is it just guest complaints? He says, well, they're all guest complaints, nobody on the staff saw anything. I said, okay. And do you have a list of the damaged rooms and who was in them with the contact information for them? And he goes, well, we didn't put that. I said, okay, so that's all hearsay. We're not going to consider anything in that binder. And he looks at me for a minute, I go, now let's turn to the reports. I brought up the same argument I made with the strap-em-ups. Glaring at Dragor the whole time, you could tell he was like vibrating, waiting to say something. Then we got to eat the meat. So we get to eat the meat, and I said, now about item number 7. Did anyone on your staff witness this, or was it based off of a report? Well, it was based off a report, but members of my staff have said, when we asked about it, that they were present. I said, okay. So you had staff members present during this? Yes. And they saw it? Yes. And none of them wrote a report? Well, none of them wrote a report. Nobody stepped in to do anything. Nobody said anything. Nobody tried to break it up. Well, I said, well, that sounds like a staff problem to me. We kept going like this. And this gentleman just kind of...
I thought for weeks, like, oh my God, how could this have happened at my con? This con is going to close down. He did that. The relief flooded over me. And 3 months later, the hotel changed hands. And all of a sudden, every person we dealt with at that hotel is apologizing to me profusely. The old management wanted us gone. That's all this was. And that man right there saved us.
The fun part was... The fun part was after we dispensed with all of that, he said, well, maybe we should talk about a renegotiated contract for next year. The hotel did. I said, we'd really like to get rid of the breakfast. I said, okay, well, that doesn't sound too bad. I think we kept it on Sunday.
We did.
We kept it for staff, but that doesn't sound too bad. But let's talk about some of these other charges. How much money did you end up saving?
Boozy saved the convention $6,300 a year.
The fun part about this is afterwards he took me to Fogo de Chao, which has become my new favorite place. Like you have made it so I can't feed my children because I'm eating Brazilian meat cuts all the time. Which if you don't know what that is, it's a meatballs. I mean, it's the people come around and they slice meat off onto your plate, and they keep slicing meat off until you beg them to stop, which we obviously did not. So we're all sitting there, and slices of meat are hitting the plate, and the guy walks off, and the 4 of us stare at our plates, and I think it was John, Beardo the Magnificent, who started it first. He looks at his plate and he just goes,
Let's go over to out-of-context radio calls. Most conventions have to use radios, and most of us use little earpieces so you can't hear it. That's not always the case.
It used to be.
Everyone, what are your out-of-context radio calls? Grab a microphone and go. Go ahead.
The police are here. It's a SWAT team. They ride shields and shotguns. Oh, that's an improvement. The prior year it was latex gloves and sample kits.
Should we do anything about the people juggling fire on the back patio? This is illegal, going off radio.
Hey guys, which side of the hotel's facing the airport?
What?
Well, don't leave us hanging.
The outside dog.
Oh no, that's a whole more story on its own, but I'll tell it if you want me to tell it.
That's going to
Okay, after, more radio calls.
be... You're next, right after the radio calls.
Well, they don't give me a radio. They're smart enough not to give me a radio.
This is operations to security. Has the fire been put out yet? This is Chair. Are you talking about the outdoor barbecue? Yep. Please call it the outdoor barbecue. 5 minutes later. This is Store operations. We're going to need more poppers over here. This is Chair to Store. Do you mean novelty popping discs? Yep. Please call them novelty popping discs. Chair going off radio. Microphone up there. Dixie.
But this one kind of leads into my story, so I don't know.
Then let's give me a minute. Anyone else? Out of context radio calls?
I'll wait for just painful radio calls.
Out of
context.
All right, I think we know which one we have to finish the out of context radio calls on then, Woody.
If we're talking the charity bear, none of that is PG.
I'll make it PG.
Okay. All in your hands.
God help us.
Possibly go.
This is security to...
Charity.
Charity? This is Charity, go ahead. We have a half-naked charity bear waiting on the information desk. Please advise. This is Charity going offline.
And this is Chair. I'm on my way.
Yes! I just watched the whole time. It was great. All right, Dixie, you're out of context calling your story, and then Olaf in your story. Dixie, go.
I guess, well, mine would be, there's some crazy Buddhist guy dancing around the lobby, harassing attendees. Can you come check this out?
Okay. What?
Yes.
Buddhist. Not very Buddhist.
He was not very Buddhist. He was very satire, and he was at my convention trying to convert all of my attendees to Buddhism.
What?
Yes, including somebody who was actually a Buddhist, who was very, very offended by that.
How do you offend a Buddhist? That's...
Yeah.
By doing that. Everyone's got their limits.
You know, I go over to the guy, he's in the, like, to the side, but he's still causing a big scene, and it's making it really hard for fursuiters to get by, and I'm like, well, he registered for the con, I can't ask him to leave, I can just say, please don't film anybody who doesn't want to be filmed, and, you know, move it around, and that's where we were at, and, you know, I'm telling security, I'm like, we can't do anything, he hasn't violated any con rules whatsoever. Then I'm walking away with my security team, and I see the Columbus police walking through the hotel. Because there had been a threat come up, you know, that some crazy YouTuber was here to cause harm to one, actually a very specific attendee. So then we go to him, and now this guy just completely loses his marbles on me. I tell him he has to leave. It's to the point that he's like, even a little foamy at the mouth. He is so upset, just angry that I kicked him out. And this is not even 2 years, but it was all over the internet, so it's safe to, say it now because he live streamed me kicking him out of the con. And that got all his followers to tweet at Anthro Ohio, free John. And then it got even worse, that I was getting actual emails sent to me that Buddha was going to sneak in my house and do horrible things to me. Since this is PG-13, that's the only way I can...
That's fine!
That's the only way I
He
can
has
say
so
it.
many arms!
Yeah, there were...
Buddha has 2 arms! You're thinking of another god!
Yeah,
I'm not very religious. What was that? Sorry.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I'm close.
I'm sorry, our god is in another temple.
Alkali, is the god you pray to the porcelain goddess?
So often.
Called it.
You've got to tell them how this got resolved.
Okay, yeah, because
That's the best
honestly, it
part.
does have a good ending. So the harassment doesn't stop, and he's a YouTuber, so he depends, heavily on YouTube for, making money and streaming. Well, he didn't realize that not only was I the treasurer of the con, but I was also Foxes and Pepper's manager. During his visit, he went into the concert and recorded a bunch of footage. So I shut his YouTube channel down. Then I got a lot more Buddha emails because he's not only that, but he screenshotted where I shot it down, and my personal email address was on that screenshot. So I can't even tell you. It went on Facebook. I'm getting all these hate emails, and then he comes calling, crying to me. You shut me down. It was a copyright. I'm like, hey, honey, YouTube investigated it. It was copyright violation. You're done. There's nothing I can do. And he is crying and he's begging. And I was doing an ALS event in Chicago, and he said he saw that on Twitter, and he was like, I'll be there. So now I'm to the point where I'm going to go to the police because not only him but his fans. And so I reached out to him and I was like, look, dude, you have one chance right now to make this right with me and the fandom, or I'm going to throw you in jail. And he did, actually. He went around and he started saying, he'd change it up, but I would not give him his rights back to his YouTube channel. How we worked it out is that he had to stream for Anthro Ohio's charity to license the right to use the song in his video and be able to have his channel again. So in the end, he did make it right, and he raised $600. And it was just like, my charity is going, I don't know what is happening here, but I just got $600 from that guy you kicked out. I'm not gonna say no, but this is really weird.
Awesome. All right, Olafin, go.
So, to continue the whole, which side of the hotel is facing the airport story? Our second in command of security at the time, this was back in 2013, I want to say. This was in our first hotel. And we are in an airport flight path, the approach path. Yeah, you're already starting to wonder, how bad did this really get? Around that time, before Canada and the US started banning the import of cheap but overpowered green laser pointers, people were having laser pointer contests. So you've got your second in command of security having a smoke outside, and this is in March, this is Canada, it's a little chilly, and he gets on the radio and asks, which side's facing the airport? Because for whatever reason, he didn't understand context. He sees these green laser pointer beams facing in the direction of the airport, not maliciously, but people are having a laser pointer contest. He double-timed it, figured out exactly which row and column of the hotel, and he's calling our security team, and then about 2 minutes later the laser beams go out, and they're never seen again. Some very stern words were had, because in those 2 intervening minutes, said 2IC security was also looking up all the legislation to say, these are exactly the penalties if you muck around too much. But there was a very slight moment of Code Brown almost. Hey, my partner works in a hospital, so they do the color code system, and I just make the joke from time to time.
I am terrified of your color coding system. Which one?
5 brown chairs.
Idiot. Sometimes we like to go back to classic stories. Now, I bet you the story you're about to hear, you're going to recognize a single phrase from it, but maybe you don't know where it came from. FWA, would you like to educate everyone?
I'm guessing you're talking about tumbles.
I am.
So, true story, there was no white in my beard until this happened. True story, the next morning. So, I guess 2 years in a row, we were at a property near the airport, the last of our properties near the airport, and there was a very large staircase down the backside of the property. That's where we did the first two photos. It was a great photo opportunity. But these are, pretty significant steep brick stairs, like 30-some, little mini landing in the middle. As most of us did in the past, we had little FRS radios, which were not very secure. And so we had to come up with codes each year. They would shift, so that we knew that it was a real radio call and not just someone messing around on their own radio to mess with security staff. So I think our code for the year was like platypus. It was platypus. Pretty random. So I hear on the radio, I think it was as a charity poker tournament, I hear platypus. So we're like, okay, it's probably just a joke. And one of the security leads is sitting beside me, and he's like, I'll go check this out. And he kind of like walks out the door. He's feeling pretty good. Less than 2 minutes later, he runs back into the room. His eyes are huge. And he's like, so I have a little concern now, and I get up and I run the other direction, and I just follow. I have no idea where I'm going or what's going on. And no one had yet figured out that there was a problem, so we're actually pushing through crowds on the stairs who are just hanging out. And there is unfortunately a gentleman laid akimbo, meaning like arms sideways, legs in odd directions, about halfway down the stairs. He's not moving, and he's unresponsive. And I will tell you, this is what we all genuinely have fear about. When I lose sleep over convention stories, you're afraid someone's going to get hurt. And we legitimately can't tell that he's okay. The punchline, for anyone who's worried, he is okay. We'll just go ahead and put that out there. So you can all breathe. I see some concern on faces. I would not be telling the story otherwise. He was actually very okay. He had been otherwise altered state of mind and thought it was a good idea to leap down the stairs. And the stairs won.
The stairs won!
The added challenge, this is also the year that we started employing police, off-duty police officers, because it turns out if you don't have them, what happens is the police come in and they decide how they get to interact with you. So the officer that arrived on scene was so uncomfortable with what was going on that I swear he caused more harm to everyone, including this guy, than the falls of the stairs, because he was inebriated, he was fine. Like, he walked it off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but it's true. He was actually okay. But please don't do this to us. I genuinely did not have white in my beard before this. This is what did it. And that, in all fairness to our horror stories, that is what I have actual bad dreams about before the event, this kind of stuff. So I'm grateful that he was okay. But it tells a good story, and he got the nickname Tumbles the Stair Dragon out of it. So there are memes, there are signs that have been created. He has his own icon. It was good.
I think we've all learned, every time you try and test gravity, it always tests that it works correctly. Like, please don't test it anymore.
Before we do this next one, I have a question for all of you. For how many of you is this your first Convention Horror Stories panel?
Oh, wow.
Oh
boy.
Part of this panel is the small charity aspect, so we're going to say the thing that we always do. If you can, give, and if you can't, do not worry about it. We are furries. The animals that we are helping with this money are going to be helped. Never more so than this year. If you missed opening ceremonies, there is something magical happening at this con. This year, there is an anonymous donor that is matching everything that happens to this con for charity. For every dollar you donate, you're actually donating too. This is a wonderful moment in the furry fandom. So once again, if you can give, and if you can't, please enjoy the show, because there's an old story. There's an old convention horror story that is my Groundhog Day. Because there was a time when I used to work through one of these walls. I don't know what direction I'm facing, but I used to work con suite here, because I think this man hates me.
Yes, it's that way. Yes.
And when they gave me, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
When they gave me this department, they informed me that, don't worry, you're coming in at a great time. We're going to get you a soda machine. You'll never have to deal with canned soda again. He followed that up immediately by, don't forget to buy canned soda for staff lounge. So you lied to me.
So let me just clarify. So the year before we had the soda machine at the hotel that must not be named, we had a year of it was. I have Weston stories. Would you like to share some?
We don't have to. We're at the time.
If there's time, I will share some stories.
Okay. So we moved over 1 million tons of soda.
That is insane.
That year. The convention was a third of the size it is today. Over 1 million tons of soda. Do you know how many pallets that is? It's insane. It's insane. So
I'm sure it is.
I'm just saying.
Oh, you say it all you want. You bought me the devil. It was supposed to be a 4-spigot soda machine. That is what you told me. I was imagining one of those things in your kitchen, the soda streams, here's your soda, sir. All of a sudden, they wheel in a tank on a table. They did not purchase it like that. They glued a 16-spout soda machine to a table with 3 wheels. And now it's my problem. We spend the entire Thursday of the convention getting this thing set up. We have to refill buckets of clean water because we don't have a water line run to this thing. The carpet underneath it is the swamp. We're just calling it. When you walk across it, it sounds like a combination of bubble wrap and vomit. Just, oh God. Every person in my department is covered in fur because we are so sticky from the soda that all the fur in the air is just... We all had fursuits that weekend.
So
like a magnet.
Now we know how to clear fur out of the air. Just invite you over.
No! Get an air purifier, you monster! Well, at one point, the machine basically decided, fuck... That's the one! I'm actually super disappointed. I was trying to go the whole weekend without swearing on it. That's the first time I did this weekend on a non-PG-13. Sorry, I apologize. Well, this machine actually pisses me off. The water decided to stop working, and this young man goes up to the soda machine and hits Code Red Mountain Dew, and I watch sludge, red sludge, filling his plastic cup. I go, son, don't worry about it. Let me reset the system. He looks at me and leans into the machine, finishes filling his cup, takes a sip, and does this. He was 6. He will be a con chair one day. We're done. We are done. We are exhausted. It is Saturday. Myself, Woody, the director of finance, and the late great Takaza are hanging out back of house. And this whole weekend, the radios have gone crazy. Because let me explain something to you. If people are doing something wrong, and all you do is, you can't do that, you shouldn't be doing that, you know what's going to happen? We're never going to stop doing that. Ever. So at the beginning of the weekend, somebody on the radio went, DuckTales. Everyone started responding with woo-woo. One person got on the radio, and gentlemen, this is not appropriate. It's like, you know what is appropriate? DuckTales. This was happening all weekend. In fact, I believe you have a department now to stop that from happening. Which, thank you for building a whole department around our stupidity. That's how finance was created too. We just lost cash. So this has been happening, it's going on, we're in the back room, we have a live radio, and we're listening to the nonsense. It is going full force. Everyone is getting on the radio. There's two sides to this. There's people being silly and people trying to stop them, and we're entertained. And during our entertainment, this man over here, while laughing, turned around and knocked over a giant bowl of instant oatmeal and knocked it all over my kitchen floor. Well, I did the only thing that a rational man would. I got on my radio and went, this is Alkali, the oatmeal has been spilled. He goes white as a sheet. Takaza looks at me, his eyes growing wider by the second, and puts his hand over his mouth, and they start laughing. The radio clicks on. Alkali, this is security. What is your current location? Well, right now I'm just hanging out with friends. Alkali, where has the oatmeal been spilled? Oh, it's everywhere. This man over here finally gets his bearings, leans over to me, and the director of finance for MFF, out of breath, out of mind, and about to be out of sight. Alkali, oatmeal is the code word for money. The guy who collects thousands of dollars in charity money every weekend at this thing just announced over a live radio that the money has been spilled everywhere. This is Alkali. Sorry. To this day, if you will notice, this is my staff badge. And these are my empty ears. Thank you, MFF.
Just because you're talking about soda, who noticed the lovely feature, not bug, of carbonated Powerade? Feature, I repeat, feature, not bug.
If you haven't seen it, yes, they accidentally carbonated the Powerade.
I repeat, feature. Only an MFF. Carbonated Powerade. Get it while you can.
Yo!
I thought I detected a bit of
Guys, will you
effervescence.
need unlimited refills on root beer?
No.
All right, I do apologize. We are at literally 1 minute left to this panel, so we are going to have to go down the line. Guys, can we do outros? I'm so sorry. 1 hour is tough for all these stories. Starting over here, I'm so sorry you didn't get to speak. However, guys, this is one of your directors of logistics and driving trucks off of roads for Anthrocon. Go ahead, do outros for shows, please.
Tiger Paw with Furry Weekend Atlanta.
And Woody with Midwest Road Fest.
And Lindy Burkon.
Yell it out.
When did you get here?
Just now.
I'm crashing your panel. I founded this con 20 years ago. Hi.
Boozy.
just shove it in my mouth. I mean, and from Friendly Canucks.
I'm Giza, and I'm with Amprocon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Con War Stories, and judging by the size of this room, the amount of fun that everyone up here is having, and the amount of people, if you don't know, all these people here have been on the board of directors at some or multiple conventions. That's what it takes to be on this panel, and I think there's enough of us that I'm going to ask somebody who can do something. Woody, next year, do you think we can have an hour and a half of this panel to do the last 15 minutes as a Q&A?
Yeah. So I think we...
No!
I think that you have proven that next year's request will have to be maybe later in the evening. I'm sure we can get
I think that's a good idea.
We can hands it up a little bit. It'll be good.
Absolutely. We truly hope you enjoyed this panel more than we enjoyed seeing these stories, but less than we enjoyed telling them. Guys, thank you very much. My name is Elfly. I enjoyed the con. Good night.
Well done.
There's a con story I want to tell you.
Hold on. There is a hat of money that I need to get into my possession.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.